Hello? Hello?
Is your refrigerator running?
I hope so? What? Oh, Hey, come back. You know, calling someone to ask them if their refrigerator is running might be the oldest and now worst prank call joke on the planet. But the only reason I think it's not funny anymore is because we all know that the refrigerator isn't running down the street. But what if it actually was? And once that thought entered my mind, I just couldn't shake it. How would you actually react to seeing that? And could you really prank someone with it? I wasn't even sure if people would get the joke. Once the idea became a fixation, I just knew I had to try it. So, I found this guy on Facebook for 60 bucks. Let me give you a little bit of an overview of what I'm thinking and how I think this might come together. Obviously, when I say the refrigerator is running, I don't mean it's literally gonna be robotically running down the street. That would cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. So instead, my plan is to hide a go-kart in the bottom, make a way to see outside, and then add mechanical arms that swing when I move so it looks like I'm running around. I just need to make sure I'll actually fit. Okay, wait a sec. Does this work? No way, I fit! Score! So that's the vision, fridge with arms that drives around. The question of how we're gonna get there, that's what I'm gonna have to solve. When I got inside, I realized the fridge was way smaller than I expected, and I needed a lot of space for a mini go-kart and myself. So I started gutting the fridge from the inside, ripping out all the fixtures before moving on to the compressor. You know what, I'm gonna pull this insulation. That stuff is nasty. Whoa. It's like a metallic fruit roll-up. After trying to cut it out like an idiot, I realized I could just pull the entire platform, which let me access the floor. That's fun. Mystery liquid on my floor. Things felt great as I made the first few cuts, except for the part where I smoked myself out. That's not great. Ugh. What I didn't realize, though, is I was about to meet my nemesis below.
It is metal. Oh my God. It had to be, didn't it?
Expanding foam. It sucks to remove, and it was in the way of everything. So I gave up on being smart and just whacked and pry-barred my way through to make enough space to cut out the floor. Okay, now I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna fit a frame in here. A go-kart needs a frame, motor, wheels, steering, plus a throttle and a brake, which is a lot to fit in a fridge. So I took a ton of measurements to make a drawing and brainstormed what parts might fit. Okay, so tiny front wheels, shortenable rear axle, plenty of battery space, plenty of motor space, consider door interfering with turning. Okay, I'm going to the attic to grab some go-kart parts. All right, there's something to look at. We've got a steering wheel, and then there's a rear axle. All right, I found some things. Does this even have a hope of fitting? Kind of, ooh. I'm gonna go with no. And then I'm 99% sure I already know the rear live axle isn't gonna fit. But let's check. Oh, no way. Holy balls. To be fair, I'll never be able to uninstall the wheels once it's in, but it doesn't really matter. In terms of like size and length,
hey, yo!
Like this'll work pretty dang well. Yeah, what about those wheels? Okay, so that'll fit. How big is this tire? 9.5. I think tomorrow I need to go to the store and see what kind of wheels I can get. But when I got in the car, I realized I forgot to get gas. Every time I get gas now, I use the free Upside app to earn cash back, because it's honestly a lot more than you'd think. Like at this Circle K, I'll be earning almost 60 cents a gallon. So before I start pumping, I just claim the offer for this Circle K. Then I just pay with my normal credit card, and once it verifies the purchase, I'll get the money in my Upside account. And since there are over 100,000 different gas stations, restaurants, and convenience stores on Upside, it's easy to find offers almost everywhere you go. Once the money's in your account, you can send it straight to your bank, PayPal, or redeem it as a gift card. You can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside than you can with credit card rewards or loyalty programs. And top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside and use code Lewis to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon in your first tank of gas. Or scan the QR code to claim this offer. Okay, so I found the wheel aisle, which is good. Now, what I want to figure out is if any of these wheels could be re-drilled to be compatible with this hub. The problem with working in a fridge is it's so small that go-kart wheels won't fit. So instead I had to find off-the-shelf wheels that were smaller so I could modify them to fit the rear axle. What I found was these. These are still pneumatic, they're still 8-inch, but they're narrower. They don't have a lot of room, but if we drilled like a hole that goes there and there, we could bolt them straight through here. So I think that's the plan. So I'm back from Harbor Freight and I have a bunch of wheels to mess with. So first I gotta deflate the tire. That way the rim doesn't just like explode when I start undoing the bolts. The wheels I bought have 2 problems. The bolt pattern doesn't fit my wheel hubs, so I can't mount it yet, and the bearing in the center blocks it from sliding onto the axle. I think I'm gonna try to get in here with a Dremel tool so that I can sort of cut around this part here. Well, obviously that's not ideal. You know, I did just have one idea. I might be able to just cut the entire center bit out with a hole saw. How about you? Well, that's like right on the money. I need like a 1 3/4 hole saw. Okay, I'm back from a guckin. This should be correct. We want high speed, drill mode. That could not have gone better. Okay, cool. Now to figure out how to adapt this to the actual dingus. I think I'm gonna cut it off right here, here, and here. That, my friends, is an appropriately sized wheel hub. So I reassembled the wheels with the new hubs, and after some convincing, managed to bolt them together. About to finally test fit this wheel. Hopefully it fits. I got the hub on there. Come on. Yes. And once I made a second wheel, it was time to assemble the whole axle. Okay, now for the drive side. That's exactly what we want. Honestly, that's almost hard to believe. That literally could not be more perfect. Stuff doesn't normally work that well. So here's the deal. Obviously the live axle fits, but I also need steering up front. The good news is I had a plan. This is a wheel. The way that steering kits work, they pull in and out. They pull and push. So I need to make a linkage that'll let me steer it left and right without interfering its ability to roll. I put together this little design here. We've got this big wheel. This is a 5/8 bore. Oh my gosh, a 5/8 bolt. Who would have guessed? Me. Then on the other side of that, there's gonna be first a piece of flat steel. It's gonna go somewhere around like yai. And then on the other side of that, I'm gonna weld this nut. And so that'll end up like about like there. And this way, these wheels can roll, and then I can weld on top and bottom of that little piece of metal here. But this is all together. This honestly, this looks really, really good. It fits over a piece of 1x, and it swivels left and right. And if there's too much friction, I'm gonna slather it up in grease. So I've got a live axle. I've got a plan for how we're gonna steer this thing. I've got 2 steering linkages, which means I have all the ingredients I need to put together the frame for this thing. So this is the design for the frame. And then these are gonna go right there. I'm trying to weld my first not warped frame here. I've welded frames before, but they're never great. Oh man, go Lewis. Let's get some stuff mounted.
I propped up the frame on some scrap 2x4s, then drilled a few holes and bolted on the live axle.
Do this. Sick. That looks awesome.
Next, I had to install the steering.
Obviously, I have these steering linkages, and they should, oh yeah. And so we can see sort of how the wheel is gonna turn. Let's try putting it all together and then try to make them actually work.
I drilled a 1/4-inch hole through both the linkage and the frame, so I could slot in a small bolt to act as the pivot. Then I test fit the wheels to make sure everything worked together.
Great. That means it still fits with the wheel on, which is awesome. Now, I just gotta do the other side, same way. Okay, I've got 2 steering linkages. This is awesome. I'm gonna put the wheels on, and then we're gonna weld on some tabs so that it's actually drivable.
And that's when I realized I made a big mistake.
Oh, that's the goofball move. I knew there was no way this was gonna go this smoothly. So, slight problem. See how this wheel is like an inch off the ground while this wheel is all the way on the ground? That's not supposed to be like that. It's actually not the end of the world. I can fix this, and the easiest way to fix it is I can just kind of lift up these front forks. And if I lift the front forks up an inch and then weld them back on here, we should be good. But I'm gonna finish doing the steering assembly first, and then I'll figure out how to fix up my mistake from yesterday. Definitely fixable.
The steering linkages needed a tab that would connect them to the tie rods, so I cut and welded one to each side and drilled holes to bolt them through.
The steering brackets are now done, and I've put them on the frame. So now I wanna try to put everything together and make sure that the footprint fits inside the fridge. I might try it the way that it is, but right now, the front will be raised an inch above the back. Might not matter, but it might matter. The other question is, can it hold my weight? So maybe we test that first. Oh, who cracked? No, I'm just breaking it in. Okay, that seems okay. I really hope this works. Oh yeah, it fits. Thank God. But yeah, the 1 degree, the 1 inch droop, I mean, that's pretty aggressive. So I'm gonna cut, re-weld, and then we should be in business again. Once the wheels are at the right height, I can start fitting it into here, getting the steering installed, all that good stuff can happen.
To fix the slant, I cut the front end off the cart, repented for my sins against frame design, and welded it back on the frame just 1 inch higher.
Okay, great news. This now fits in here. The wheels work, and when I sit on it, it doesn't break. So this is a huge success. This might be the seating position, which is so bad. We're getting much closer to a fridge that drives. So that's exciting. But I think the next few decisions are gonna have to be made in there. Cause like, look at that. Oh boy. I might need to shorten the steering column a little bit. Over the weekend, these tie rods arrived, and these are short enough that I should be able to use them for steering on here. Obviously, I have the big steering kit, but I think we might be better off if I use a different strategy.
I really didn't want to make an entire steering kit, and I had an idea for a design that I thought might be better.
All right. Now that looks like steering. All right, here's the good news. My feet have a place to exist, and then if I want to turn left or right, oh man, that's really hard. And I'm not even really putting a lot of pressure on it. Boy, howdy. Yeah, I can't get that to turn for the life of me. I think I might have to use the other kind of steering. Well, I guess that's what we're doing now. Okay, so since this didn't work, I'm gonna try to make this without making this, basically. The problem is this is way too big, and if I cut it down, all of the stuff to put the tab on the far end gets cut off. So instead, I'm gonna hopefully go buy all of these parts that you see in the middle and a rod and see if I can make my own steering wheel that's a little bit shorter. But I'll be honest, this is pretty frustrating. I was really hoping that this would work better than it does. I might buy all the stuff for that rod and try doing the motor mount first. Okay, I'm back. I found some of the stuff I needed, but not everything. Mainly, I didn't find any steel for the motor mount. So I think I'm gonna take a page out of Carlini's book and make this one out of wood. Take this guy. So I haven't been able to test the motor yet, but I do have it mounted. The first thing that I have to do is I have to fix the steering, since this didn't work. I went to McGuckin yesterday and I got this bag of a bunch of little different parts that I think I can use to recreate most of the parts that are on this steering shaft. The main thing that I need this bushing with a coupling linkage on the side. So I got some of these, basically that kind of coupler, and then the smaller one that can go on the side. So now I just have to figure out how to put them together. Not beautiful, but probably functional. All right, I need to make some tabs for this so that I can mount the rod off of it. All right, I've got the tabs welded on. Now I just need to drill holes through the sides. All right, that's good enough. Let's send a couple of these nuts on there, move on to the next steps. Now I need some kind of a Allen key for this, and that should stop the shaft from sliding up and down. But this is good. This is getting like much more promising. Now it's time to figure out how I'm gonna attach that steering wheel. I've got this steering wheel. All right, I'm gonna go try to cut a 1/2 inch hole right there so that I can weld it on to the top of the rod over here.
It might not seem that crazy, but I've never built steering from scratch before, so I was over the moon that it was going so well. Every piece I made worked just as I expected, and I was feeling really good about this second attempt. I welded on this plate to mount the steering wheel, cut off the extra rod I didn't need, and then welded a tab on the bottom to connect to the steering linkages.
All right, so I'm gonna let this cool off for a sec, and then I'm gonna test it back in the go-kart to see if I can actually steer now.
But despite the good vibes,
Oh shit, come on. Oh yeah, that's got more than enough mechanical advantage to steer. It's just steering the wrong way, because of course it is. But that's okay, I'll just move this to the other side.
so I pulled out the angle grinder again to repent for my sins against steering design, turned everything around, and welded it back in place.
Oh yeah. Now that's more like it.
With the frame, wheels, and steering now done, all that was left for the cart was to hook up the motor and add some brakes. I found some cheap mountain bike brakes online, but I needed to make a bracket to mount them by the brake rotor, so I shaped a piece of metal, screwed the caliper in place, and welded the whole assembly directly to my frame.
We have brakes now. Now I have a way to activate it. And I can put this pretty much wherever I want, it still works. It might not seem like it, but this is a pretty big moment. I wanna see if this thing actually rolls, stops, and steers. Push, it steers, and stop. There we go. Well, obviously I still need to get the motor going, but this bodes really well. I'm feeling a lot better about this project now that this piece at least works.
The last thing the cart needed was a way to control the motor.
I have this kind of chintzy looking brake mount attached to this copper pipe so that I can try to make sort of a one-handed controller for this thing. So what I'm thinking is that I can probably have this be sort of like a brake over here and then have a pipe that extends out like sort of off of this way with a thumb throttle that I can wrap around and use my thumb on. And then no matter what, if I just tense up my hand, it'll bring the whole thing to a complete stop. Okay, this thing looks like an absolute riot, so I wanna take it up and down the block just to see how it feels before I start integrating it into the fridge. Then once I've got the whole thing working as a fridge cart combo, then I can start figuring out the arms and finally getting this thing looking like a running refrigerator. Okay. Oh man, this is horrifying. Wow, but honestly, pretty good turning radius and I'm barely moving the wheel. All right, I think I can work with this. Oh my God, this thing is so hard to drive. That was rough. Good news is, it works, and it works well enough that I think we can start integrating the cart
into the fridge. The idea was to make a frame that bolts to the cart from the underneath. So I cut 2 bars to span underneath the frame and then 2 to attach along the sides in an H pattern. Then I welded them all together before adding the lip that would bolt directly to the bottom and support the fridge.
Okay, I've successfully built a frame. I think it's strong enough to hold up our fridge.
So I'm gonna tip this on its back and start sizing up where this should go. Never thought I'd put together the sentence, yeah, my fridge is up on blocks. And yet, here we are. All right.
Okay, this is actually awesome. When I looked at this originally, I noticed there are like 3 or 4 spots. Yeah, there's this. Those are already existing like bolts / fasteners. So I think we ought to start by attaching those. Wow, that's really strong actually. Okay, well, those are great mounting points. I guess now just see if it can connect to the cart, which I mean, it should. Here we go. Everything looks good in here. Well, that might be the positioning right there, dude. I'm gonna mark everything and I think we ought to start putting stuff together. So I pulled the cart back out of the fridge and unscrewed the frame from underneath. I used the hole I drilled inside as a reference point to help make sure everything lined up the same way and drilled 3 new holes to help balance the load. I ratcheted everything together to make sure it fit before taking the support frame back off to install it on the fridge. I could have welded these together, but by making the fridge and the cart 2 separate pieces, it'll make it way easier to repair in case something breaks. All right, so everything is now mounted and I wanna see if it can support the weight of this giant fridge. All right, let's get it off blocks. No way, no freaking way. All right, I think maybe I can now actually drive this thing. All right, you know what? I need to use the brakes to get in, I think. All right, so this has to move, but temporarily, I think the move is probably that I'm gonna sit straddling like this. I'm hoping this works. No way! Let me back that up again. All right, so we've got a fridge that is drivable. The only problem is I can't see out of it to be able to drive it, and that's a problem because if I can't drive it, we can't do anything cool with it. So here's the plan. Way number 1, right here, we make some kind of a window, but there is option 2. Because years ago, I built something for Ryan Trahan that I think could be really, really helpful on this project. All right, where are you? This right here. The 3rd-person VR rig. But the reason I want it is it has this 3D vision camera. Yeah, let's bring you out of here. Oh, can I, that's goofy, but maybe it'll work. Oh, well, because you can see out of 2 eyes on this one, you can tell how far away stuff is, which means I think I might actually be able to use this to drive an entire freaking refrigerator. So I'm gonna debolt this from here and then we'll see if I can drive this thing normally with vision off of that. Here's the best thing I've come up with. I think mount this in here so that the lenses are flush with the surface of the fridge. And then when I put the free drink sign on it or with any other fridge magnets or whatever else I wanna put on it, I could put a handful of those things on the front to disguise these 2 little holes. And that's probably the simplest, lowest tech way to do it, so I think that's what I'm gonna go with. I cut through the foam with a hot knife and then chipped it away to make room for the camera. I drilled holes for the lenses to slide through and then cut a piece of steel to make a stabby fork thing that'd serve as a camera mount. Okay, so I know that looks jank AF, right? No debating that. But it is also perfectly flush. And that's what I was looking for. It's time to see how this thing actually drives, so wish me luck.
I'll get out of the way, son.
I needed that luck because driving the fridge wasn't exactly pretty. It shakes, it wobbles, pieces of metal scrape the ground, it sounds horrible, and it's a terrible experience.
This is hilarious.
But ultimately, I knew all that stuff was fixable. The part that needed to work, the camera vision, worked like a charm, and it was even good enough to let me stop on a dime right behind my truck. Sorta.
I'll tell you what, I'd call that a success.
Okay, so the go-kart part of the fridge is more or less done. The thing is, the making it look like a fridge that runs part of the fridge is not done. Now I have to figure out, how do I attach these? Originally, I thought it needed arms and legs to sell the joke, but when I started sizing them up, the legs just looked out of place. I'm not entirely convinced it really needs legs. Especially because there isn't really room for both of them. I think maybe we do just arms. That seems about right to me. Now that I knew I was just using arms, I needed to put some kind of mechanism in the freezer to make them swing. I took the door insert off to buy myself some extra space, and then took a look to see what I was working with. Selling the illusion meant everything mechanical needed to be hidden, so I had to figure out how to connect an internal swinging mechanism to the arms on the outside. The arm mounts from the mannequin were a good place to start, but I needed to attach them to something I could spin. So I cut a disc out of a piece of sheet metal, drilled some holes to mount the adapter plate, and welded it to a rod that would slide through the freezer wall.
We got this guy, and we got this guy, and now they go together.
To make the arm swing, I had to connect it to a motor, but since the walls are just foam, I decided to build my swinger outside the fridge on plywood and then glue it in place. A green pillow block bearing would support the arm by its rod, which I could then connect to a motor with a custom linkage.
Seems pretty good so far.
These motors only spin in circles, but I need the arm to go back and forth, so I connected the motor output to a tie rod that'll let me adjust how far it swings.
I'm gonna switch it on, so if the arm starts moving, I want you guys to be here for it. Okay. All right, well, that was a good first attempt.
And after a quick test fit on the side of the fridge, I knew we were in business, so I connected the motor to the arm and glued the whole assembly to the wall to test it out.
Oh, that's it. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this looks pretty dang good, to be honest. This is awesome. I'm so pumped. And now it's really just about like getting all the pieces together, getting it driving really well. But this is sort of it. It's built. To be honest, I've never really built something with moving parts like this. I mean, I've built a lot of things with moving parts, but I've never built anything that you could call animatronic. So this is pretty exciting for me. This is completely uncharted territory. I've never done anything like it. The fact that I managed to use like tiny little motors and do anything useful with them absolutely blows my mind.
With the fridge mechanically done, it was time for some finishing touches. I added a wheelie bar to help stop the fridge from tipping, made a cardboard cover to help hide the rear axle, shortened the control stick, double-checked the VR headset and installed it in the fridge, and mounted a megaphone on top so I could communicate with the outside world.
All right, that works.
I also made a sign to help hide the cameras, and just because I could, I added a tiny working refrigerator inside so you can still technically call it a fridge.
So now after a long hard day of driving around the fridge, I can crack open a cold one of my own. Okay, and finally, 4 Amazon orders later, the perfect set of googly eyes. There we go. Honestly, I think that's pretty hilarious. Can you imagine this running down your street? Oh no, my fridge is running away!
With the fridge finally done, I was super excited to see people's reactions and recreate the classic prank call. I added a wireless controller to make it easier to move around, and then I brought it to our town's Memorial Day festival. Can I see? I can? There.
Oh, get excited.
Oh, this is so trippy every time.
Is your refrigerator running? Nice, a fellow runner. Good for fitness. Are any of you guys missing a fridge? I'm looking for my home. Are you missing a refrigerator? Hello. Well, time to resume my run.
To recreate the classic phone call prank, I asked my buddy Ron to stage a fake interview while I waited around the corner inside the fridge.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm here with
Grace.
Grace, and where are you from, Grace?
Oregon.
Oregon. Oh yeah, we're in Oregon.
Portland.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I used to live in Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Which is great because Portland is known for pickling stuff, which
Yes.
is what this video is about.
Fruit.
You know, in Portlandia.
Yep.
We could pickle it. Yeah. Do you have like what kind of shape of pickle is your favorite? Do you like the sliced or like the wedges or the whole?
Ooh, I'd say like the whole,
Yeah.
like the big ones. Yeah. Like, and then if you get them out of a jar,
Oh yeah.
they're so much better if they're out of a jar. Yeah.
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 100%. 100%. Oh, sorry. 1 second. I'm gonna get a phone call. You can just. Hello?
I knew I couldn't call a stranger's phone, so instead I called Ron mid-interview to make it seem like an accident.
Ron, here, give me a second. It's for you.
What?
They said they wanted you on the phone call.
Okay. Hello?
Hi, is your refrigerator running?
I know where this is going. No, it's not, and I don't need to catch it.
I think you do.
I think you do.
I did not expect that.
Oh. Oh no! Oh no! I've been caught! Was it good? Was it everything you hoped for?
That was pretty great.
That's gotta be the most high effort prank ever.
After that, it was back to the crowds to get some more reactions.
Hey there! You guys looking for a beverage? I'm not. People always look. Because, I mean, it's your natural reaction.
Oh my gosh, it moves!
What do you mean it moves? I'm a refrigerator. I'm running.
Wow. Is your refrigerator running? You better go get it, bitch! I don't know who you are, what you're about! Oh shit! Wait, oh no, don't go to her! Oh! Do you have anything in there? Can we look inside? Is it okay? Yeah, right. I just wanted to see if you were alive in there, if you needed water or anything. Will you get you up? What's your cake? That scared me so bad! Oh my god, I didn't know it was I'm gonna try and open the door and see.
Please don't open me.
So, was it worth all the work? It's not like it's the funniest prank on the planet, but it was awesome to see how much joy the fridge brought everyone who saw it. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, even though it's terrifying to drive. If you made it this far, I'd love to see what you thought in the comments, and make sure you get subscribed if you aren't already. Bye!